since I'm not having class tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday, or next Monday. This is a little bit of a makeup class. It's a general class. I can't even remember the date. The 8th? 9th? The 9th. So, let yourself sit comfortably if you're at home. Grab blankets if you need to. Let yourself close your eyes. Feel your shoulders just softening down away from your ears. And if you're in your chair, sit comfortably so that you feel your feet parallel. You're kind of stacking your knees up over your ankles and your toes are facing forward. And then just watch your breath. Feel the wave of your breath coming in and going out. See if you can take time to appreciate those little spaces between your breaths. So at the end of your inhale, the little space before you exhale. The same thing at the end of your exhales, that little space or pause before you inhale. On your next exhale, let your chin come down towards your chest. Release your head forward. Be mindful there. Only go as far as feels good. Maybe feeling a release there in the upper back and your neck. And then we'll rise the head on back up, chin parallel to the floor. And let's turn to look towards our right. So keep your chin pretty parallel to the floor. Just let your head turn. Try to keep your shoulders square in front of you. And on your next exhale, lower your chin down towards your shoulder a little bit so that you come into a different release for the neck. And then we'll come on back up, chin parallel to the floor again. And we'll turn on back to center, looking forward again. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, turn to look now to the left. So again, chin is about parallel to the floor. Let yourself just release here for a breath. And on your next exhale, lowering your chin downward so that you again find a little bit different place to stretch there in the neck. Maybe even feeling it up in your upper back, maybe between the shoulder blades on your back. And then on your next inhale, rising back up, chin parallel to the floor. And then we'll turn again to bring ourselves on back into center. Let's release our arms out beside us. And now float your right hand just a little bit higher. Flex your hand. And then tilt your left ear towards your left shoulder, coming into even yet another part to stretch through your neck. And then we'll rise back up with the head. Hand comes down, and we're going to go the other side. Left arm comes up. Flex the hand. And then again, just let the right ear come towards the right shoulder. You're tilting away from that arm. And then as we bring the head up, we'll bring the hand on back down. And now let's come forward. Flex your feet. If you're on the floor cross-legged, press into the outside edges of your feet. If your legs are long, just feel your heels on the floor. And if you're in your chair, feel free to separate your knees wider and come farther down if that feels good. So take your time. Let your head release if you can. You might even want to turn your head a little bit from side to side. So one more breath here. And then we'll slowly make our way on back up and release our arms back out beside us. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down through the midline in front of our chests. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, opening the arms on back out and down. And if you are cross-legged, let's switch our leg in front. So you can stretch your legs out if you need to. Take it easy. If you're not cross-legged, just rearrange, get your legs however you need again. And then again, let's come forward. So coming into a little bit of a seated forward bend, or maybe more. You know, maybe it feels very good to you to walk your hands farther out, releasing farther forward. Think about coming forward from your low back. Let your head release, your head hang a little bit, as long as that's okay for your back. One more breath. And then we'll slowly walk ourselves on back up. Arms on out beside us again. Let's take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, twist to our left. Bring your right hand around towards your left knee, or maybe more to the midline, depending on you. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, we're going to come on back around through center and come off into the other direction. So again, just lengthening upward. Feel those sitting bones drawing down. Good. Inhale again. And as you exhale, we're going to come back around, and now we're going to move with the breath. So every inhale, you're in your twist lengthening. And every exhale, you're going to twist off into the other direction. So it is the speed, the tempo of your own breath here. So you may not be twisting at the same time, everybody here in class together. So just really following your breath. Inhales, lengthening the spine. Exhales, bringing you all the way into the other direction in your twists. So just feel real easy. Let yourself just imagine you're waking up your entire spine here. And now the next time you exhale, let's stop back around at center. And letting our arms come on out. Let's inhale the arms straight out from the shoulders. Turn your palms up for a second. Actually, do that a couple of times. Let your palms face down and then rotate hands up. Feel how that feels in your shoulders. So if you can, as you kind of rotate down and then back up again with your palms, feel how the shoulders soften when the palms face up. You can find those muscles that come wrapping around underneath your arms. And now the next time that you end up with your palms facing up, let's bend our elbows and bring our tips of our fingers onto the tops of our shoulders. And then as you exhale, bring your elbows towards each other in front of you. And as you inhale, bring the elbows back out wide. So exhaling, letting the elbows come towards each other here. Inhaling, letting them come back out wide. And then one more time, exhaling, bringing the elbows towards each other. And then inhaling, back wide. Now see if you can lift your right elbow up higher and let your left elbow sink down a little bit, coming into a little side stretch. And then come back into center and go the other way. Left elbow comes up, right elbow comes down. And then we'll come on back up. We're going to unfold our arms down and then bring our hands behind us. If you can stay on fingertips, that's fine. If you want to go flat, leaning back to your hands, that's fine. Opening up through the chest here. Look wherever feels good for your neck. And then we'll release to come up. Let's stretch our legs on out in front of us. Let your legs come out just a little bit wider. And then let your feet circle around a little bit. See if you can really isolate so you're not moving your legs around. You're just moving your feet, moving through your ankles. And then come back and see if you can scrunch your toes up. Like really scrunch your toes as best you can. And then let your toes spread out wide. Good. And then one more time, really squeezing your toes, scrunching them, and then spreading them out as best you can. And then just slide a little bit forward with your hands down your legs, coming into waking up the back of the legs. You can go as far as you want. You can reach your toes if you want. Try to come forward with that longer back. Ease your way into feeling the backs of the legs there. Good. And then we'll come on up and we're going to make our way around towards our hands and knees. And you know, if you do not want to be on your knees, don't be. Have your hands on blanket or knees on blanket if you feel like it's too harsh to be on the floor. Or be up, standing up with your hands on the seat of a chair. Spread your fingers nice and wide if you can, or come to fists if that's better for you. And then take a nice inhale. Then on the exhale, draw up into your cat pose. Now imagine as you're in your cat pose that your elbows, your inner elbows are turned to face each other. And they're going to stay that way when you inhale your tailbone back and up and move your way back through into your cow pose. So inner elbows face each other. Exhaling, drawing up into your cat pose. And inhaling, moving back through the spine into either neutral spine or your cow, whichever is best for you. So just move again at your own pace here now. It might be slower or faster than what we were doing. You might feel like you want to stay in your cat or your cow pose for a couple of breaths if it feels really good, letting your body adjust. Good. And then finish off the one you're on. And come on back to a more neutral spine here now. And we're going to step our left foot forward and come into our first lunge. So if you know you like your blocks or the seat of your chair, bring your hands onto whatever surface you like to use, whatever height. Remember, those blocks have 3 heights. Some days one height feels better than another. So take your time. Let yourself feel your legs here now. As you start to press the feet away from each other, feel the right inner thigh, that back inner thigh reaching up towards the ceiling, and the front left inner thigh reaching down towards the ground. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. And we are going to switch to the other side. So whether you like to step forward or back, doesn't matter. Take your time to switch. Find that alignment. Remember, you're on very narrow railroad tracks. The feeling of that instead of on a tight rope. And then line up that front knee. And, you know, if your wrists bother you, can do fists. You can be on fingertips if you want. Really imagine pressing those feet away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat. And we're going to switch again. So this time, if you feel like coming up a little bit more into the legs and out of the hands, you can put your left hand up there above your knee on your thigh, or you can bring both hands up if you want. That's up to you. You can stay with both hands down, either way. And we're going to come on down with our hands so we can switch and go to the other side again. So as your right foot comes forward and you're into this lunge here, if you feel like floating your right hand up there, or your forearm even, above your knee, or if you want to bring both hands up, take your time, let it feel good, wake up the legs, feel the length of the spine. Nice, we're going to step forward from here, so bringing ourselves into standing forward bend now. Shift a little bit, and you may want your hands on blocks or on the chair or the floor. Shift up so the heels are off the floor and you're onto the balls of the feet. And then shift back to your heels, lift your toes up, maybe even shift back to lift the balls of the feet a little bit off the floor too. So do that again, shift forward, rise the heels up, knees can be bent or straight, doesn't matter. And then shift back to the heels, lift the toes up, maybe even the balls of the feet. So it's like you're just rocking back and forth. Keep going just a little bit, letting yourself feel your feet. So moving through the feet and letting yourself finish off back to have all 4 corners of the feet down now. Toes relaxed down into the floor. Coming into your standing forward bend. And whatever support you need, use it, right? Let your face soften now. Let go of your jaw. If it helps you kind of to move your mouth around a little bit, if that helps you find more release in your jaw, you can just do what feels good. Let yourself be able to release and breathe full, even, deep breaths. more breath here. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Now bow your head to look at your hands for a second. Separate your pointer fingers, just your pointer fingers, and then as you exhale, let them softly touch again. And then go to the middle finger separating. And then let them come back to meet. And now your ring fingers come a little apart. And then they come back together. And now your pinkies. And then they reconnect. And then your thumbs a little bit. And then come on back into all the fingers and your thumbs together there. And as you inhale, rise your gaze on forward to look out. As though you're looking at the horizon. Feeling the feet equal in the floor. Feeling that sense of stacking your hips over your ankles, your shoulders over your hips. Good. And then we'll release our arms on down beside us. Let's inhale the right arm all the way out and up overhead. Now come over into a little side stretch. Just let yourself keep reaching the right fingertips away as you come over into stretch here. And then we'll rise up. We're going to switch arms, so just come to the other side. Reaching up through those fingertips, feel that sense of you're really equal through your feet and the floor. Space between the ribs on that side, you're stretching. And then we'll come back up. Let's bring both arms up overhead. Wide V. Let your pinkies turn a little towards each other. Coming into mountain with arms overhead. Feel the feet equal in the floor. Remember, you don't want to lock your knees. So feel that sense of pressing down into the floor, thighs gently engaging upward. And if you'd like to look up when you inhale, you can. And on the exhale, bend your knees and come on forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long back. Lengthen out through the spine. And we'll step our right foot back to come into lunge. So adjusting into that lunge, press the feet away from each other. Inhale and exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So take your time, come on back into the dog, whether your hands are on blocks or the chair or the floor. And really lengthen equally back through your sitting bones. So you feel like the sides of your feather in this plank. Try not to sink into the belly. So you really want to get the feeling of your sitting bones reaching downward towards your heels. And then we'll come on back into our down dog. So reaching back equally, again, through the sides of the body. And think about your head being in line with your spine. The back of your head being in line with your spine. And we'll bring the right foot forward to come into lunge. And you can put the left knee down if you need to get that foot forward. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend. Feet, hips distance apart and parallel. And be mindful, if you need support, use it. Elbows above your knees can help support your back, or hands on the blocks or the chair. Let your head feel heavy as you can. Enjoy the weight of your head. See if you can find those little spaces between your breaths. We'll let our hands now come on back up to our hips. Bend our knees, press into our feet, rising up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands right up through the midline. Keep them together if you can. And then when you exhale, bend your elbows and put your hands down maybe to the top of your head, maybe a little bit more towards the back of the top of your head. You still have your hands kind of in prayer hands here. Just let yourself feel an uplift at the front of the body. Try to feel your tailbone reaching down towards between your heels. And then on your next inhale, reach the hands on up. You can look up if you choose. And then as you exhale, open the arms like wings and come on forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that nice flat back. And this time, left foot comes back to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhaling into your downward facing dog pose of choice, where your hands are. Elbows hug inward. If you want to walk your dog, go ahead and bend a knee at a time, or both knees if it feels good, you know. Really focus on the length of your spine here. You're obviously getting a stretch in the backs of the legs too, but really focus here for a second on that spine being long. And we'll come on out towards a plank. Once you get in your plank, whether it's a forearm plank or knees down plank, just focus here now on the core of your body. Zip up your low belly. See if you can feel that strength in the core, kind of takes it out of your arms, your shoulders. You can bend your elbows, do little push-ups if you so desire. And then we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose. And we'll bring our left foot forward this time to come into lunge. So your right knee can come down if you need to get that foot through. And then we'll make our way back into standing forward bend. Right to your breaths. Following your breaths now, all the way in, all the way out. Feeling your sitting bones over your heels. And we'll release our hands back up to our hips. Bend our knees, coming on up to standing. Let's bring our hands behind us. Clasp your hands. Slide them down a little bit. Feel a sense of a lot of space between your shoulders and your ears. And then from here, see if you can take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, bend your knees and come into a flat back. So you're staying parallel to the floor. You'll probably need to bend your knees. Reach back through your tailbone, forward and out through the top of your head. You'll have a little bit of a natural curve in your low back here now. Just take one more breath here, really feeling your legs, feeling your thighs. And it is optional whether you want to continue now to fold forward over your legs. That is up to you. If your arms can come off your back at all and your shoulders feel good to do that, you can let that happen. One more breath. And then we'll let our arms release on down. Let your inhale help you find that flat back, whether you put your hands on blocks or your legs or the floor. And from here, we're going to walk into downward facing dog pose. So make your way into your down dog, wherever you like your hands to be, blocks or chair or floor. And then on your next inhale, come on out to your plank. It is optional to add a back bend. So if you're on the floor, you can always come all the way down to the floor. Come onto your forearms and do a little Sphinx pose. Or bring your hands by your chest, come up and do a little cobra, or go up even higher. Totally up to you if you even do a back bend. And then we're going to come on back into down dog from there. Take your time, walk a little bit if you need to. Let yourself feel whatever feels good as you move in your dog a little bit. And then we're going to come out again towards that plank. Optional back bend. Right? You can stay in plank. You can move through to an up dog. You can come down and come into cobra or sphinx. Take your time. Stay in the plank if you'd rather. And then we'll make our way again back into downward facing dog pose. Take your time now. We're going to bring our left foot forward to find lunge. And you can put your right knee down if you need to. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend. Ease your way now. Really let yourself feel that sense of the weight of your torso. Even if you have your hands supporting you or your elbows above your knees, just be aware of as the torso's forward like this, you can feel that openness in the backs of your legs. One more nice full deep breath. And then we'll let our hands come on back to our hips, bend our knees and rise on up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Feel that connection of your hands lightly. It's not like you're pushing and tensing, right? But there is a definite feeling of connection there in your hands, your fingers, and let your feet feel equal in the floor. Bringing your gaze on out as though you're looking at the horizon if you were outside in an open, empty field. And just enjoy letting the body settle into that alignment of your mountain pose. Good, and then we'll go ahead and release our arms on down and shake out. Move around a little bit if you want to walk around through your feet a little bit, dude. And we're going to come into some warriors. If you're using a chair, you might want to turn the back of the chair to face you. Have your blocks handy at the front of your mat, and we're going to step our right foot back and come into a warrior two. So, lining the heels up and getting yourself really comfortable in the length of your stance, so that when you bend that front knee, it doesn't go out beyond your ankle. If it tends to want to do that, you might want to lengthen your stance. Have your feet a little farther apart so that when you bend the knee, it's stacked there. And then let's rise our arms up. Turn your palms up and let your elbows melt down. Actually, go ahead and bend your elbows and touch the tops of your shoulders with the tips of your fingers. And then unfold your arms again, palms still up, elbows melting down. And then we'll turn the palms down and reach out through the fingertips, equally back through the right fingertips, forward through the left. Feeling the feet in the floor here. Now, if possible, let your left heel float a little bit up off the floor. Imagine your outer left hip releasing downward a bit, which lines up the knee. Heel's going to come down. We'll turn that left palm up and inhale, reach up towards the sky. Feel a nice full breath into the left side. And on the exhale, we'll come into our side angle. So either your left hand or forearm onto your thigh. Adding that right arm up if you choose, up into line with the right side of the body. If that bothers your shoulder, don't worry. Just put your hand down on your hip. So you're trying not to collapse in the underside, right? Your body is one long piece here. And then we'll come on back into warrior two. Press those feet away from each other, get you right back up there. And now let's put our right hand on our right hip, straighten our left leg out, and bring our left hand down now for triangle. So same thing, body is elongating out over that front leg, but the leg is straight. You can put your hand down to your chair or down onto a block or onto your leg. And if you decide to add that top arm up, you can. You can stay up as high as you want in triangle. Your hand can be above your knee, below your knee. You can put it on a block in front of or behind your leg there. And then we'll bend that left knee and come on back into warrior two again, pressing those feet away from each other. Good. And now we'll let our hands come down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. So if you need to adjust the width of your stance, do it. And grab blocks if you need them. So as you come forward, if you know it feels really good to have your hands up on blocks here, you can take your time, bend one knee at a time once you get down. And just be mindful. Let yourself find those inner thighs and move at your own pace back and forth. If that bothers your knees, don't do it at all. And then when you come back to center, if you need to adjust your stance again, do. And we're going to come in to be with our breath. So if you like stacking blocks up, you can put your forearms or your hands or your head on blocks. That will keep the spine, the length at the low back going there. So if it bothers you to hang upside down, don't do it. You know, use support to keep yourself with a longer back. If you can hang your head, do. Unless it bothers your low back. And then just be with those breaths again. See if you can let yourself feel the ribs expanding in all directions when you inhale. And when you exhale, just try to release a little more. Every time you exhale, release through your face, your jaw. Let go of any tension there in the upper body. Now, if you need to arrange your feet a little bit differently, you can use your hands on your thighs or your hips to come on up. And then we'll bring our feet on together and move through whatever you need to. If your feet are feeling iffy, circle around your feet if you need to. We're going to come to the other side. So right foot steps forward, left foot steps back, heels are lined up again. And then again, think about that, how far apart your feet are, right? The long way. So if you bend this knee and it wants to go deeper into a bend, just a little bit longer stance sometimes can feel better, right? Make sure that right foot is about parallel to the long edge of your mat. And then we'll float the arms up, turn the palms up, and then bend the elbows, put the tips of the fingers on your shoulders for a second. And now, as you unfold, really imagine softness at the tops of your shoulders as the arms unfold. And then turn the palms down and start reaching out through your fingertips, looking out over the top of that right hand. Feeling the feet in the floor equally. Good. We're going to turn the right palm up and inhale, reach up towards the sky. Now really focus on bringing your breath into the right ribs here. Nice inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come into that side angle. So your right hand or forearm onto your thigh there, bringing that left arm up into line if you choose. So remember, you can have your hand to give you support, not go so low, or you can go onto your forearm. Really drawing that outer right hip back a little bit. And we're going to come on back into Warrior Two. Press those feet away from each other. Let yourself find that core strength. And then put your left hand on your left hip. We're going to straighten the right leg out. Now, as you bring the right hand down, again, if you like to use a block, you can use a chair, you can use your leg. Block can be in front of or behind that right foot or behind your ankle or in front of. And then just let yourself, again, add the arm up top if you choose to, straight up from your shoulder, or keep your hand on your hip. Thighs are lifting upward towards the hips. You're very engaged in the muscles all around the knees. It's like you're creating space in your knees. We're going to bend the right knee. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other. And then we'll let the hands come down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. And again, as you come forward, if you need your blocks, grab them. This time, once you get down with your hands, walk your hands out, either on the blocks or on the floor, like you're doing a down dog. So they go way out, and maybe even just a little bit wider than your shoulders, like more to the outsides of your shoulders than the insides. And then see if you can bend your knees. See if you can let your heart melt down a little bit towards the ground. And then come on out. See if you can go out like you're about to do a plank, a really wide-legged plank, right? Like you're going to go do a push-up. So just shift yourself forward a little bit. And then we'll shift back, bringing the heels on back down. And now take your time, walk your hands over to the right, so either on your blocks or to the floor. You can walk towards your right foot or stay out in front of the foot if that's better for you. And then we'll come on back to center and we'll go to the left. Again, you can go all the way over to the foot or the ankle, or you can be out in front of the foot. And then we'll come on back into center again. And now, set yourself up where you need to be. You're more than welcome to put your elbows above your knees to support your back if that helps it, right? Stack your blocks up if you want. If you're comfortable to bring your hands between your feet, let your head hang. That's fine as long as you feel comfortable in your back. And then again, it's easy to watch your breath once you can let go there through the upper body. Let go through your jaw. Imagine you're relaxing your throat. One more full deep breath. And your time to come up. You know, you rise up how you need, adjust your feet first if you need to, letting yourself come on up to standing, and then, of course, bringing your feet together when you're ready. And move through again, feet and ankles if you need. And this time, either have your blocks forward or turn the seat of your chair if you're using one to face you. And we're going to step into a lunge with our left foot forward and our right foot back. So you can have your hands on the blocks to step your right foot back. High is tight probably if you're going to use your blocks. Or you can have your hands on your chair. Totally up to you. Let's add just a little twist once we get in our lunge. Bring your left hand to your left hip and just roll that shoulder up. You can add the arm stretching up if you want, or keep your hand down. Really lengthen out through the top of your head. Reach back through that inner right heel. And then bring your hand on back down. And we're going to adjust from here into pyramid pose. Straightening that front knee out, lowering now the back heel onto the floor, turned inward a little bit. So take your time. Let yourself, if you get into your pyramid, you get your hips square, you zip up your belly, and you feel like, I can go a little bit longer and feel good. You can always adjust and try that. You can always readjust if you need to. Feel your feet now in the floor. Feel your thighs engaging up towards your hips. And then just enjoy lengthening out through the spine here. And look down at your left foot. Make sure you're not rolling to the outside of that foot. And just enjoy opening up now the backs of both the legs. It depends on you which one feels it the most, right? And if you want to go ahead and fold over that front leg, do. If that feels good, you can bow over the leg and let yourself release forward. Still feel the legs engaged. Thighs are lifting upward. So you're not ever jamming into your knees here. You're really engaged. And then we're going to come on back up. We're going to bend the front knee. And we're going to switch to go to lunge on the other side. So however you want to switch to bring your right foot forward. Find your lunge, your full lunge here. We're going to add a twist, remember. So when you're ready, bringing your right hand up to your right hip and turning there into your twist. Hand can stay right there on your back. You can, if you want, stretch the arm up towards the sky. Be where you can be there. One more breath. And then we'll come on down with the hand. And we are going to come into pyramid pose, straightening that front leg out and bringing that back foot fully to the floor. That back foot is turned out maybe 20 or 30 degrees. Now again, thighs lifting upward. So there is that deep engagement, like you're creating space in your knees, lengthening out through your torso. Kind of imagine, once you're nice and long with your back, imagine your heart melts down just a little bit more. And then that folding over that front leg, totally up to you. If it feels good to either bend your elbows and then just let yourself come forward, or maybe put your hands down on the floor and turn your fingertips back towards the back of your mat. One more breath. And then come up again so you can bend that front knee. Find your lunge for a second there. And then we're just going to step forward and get our feet right underneath our hips. Bend your knees pretty deeply. Like think about your belly coming right onto your thighs. Let your head hang if you can. Good. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to press into our feet and rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on your exhale, bring your hands down to rest there in front of your chest. Take your time, find your mountain pose. If you need to sway around a little bit or shift around a little bit, do it. Let yourself ease your way into finding that alignment. The body really wants to be aligned. So if you give it a chance, enabling your body to find its way into that quiet place. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us and shake out a little bit, move around, stretch, whatever you need to do. We are going to bring our mats all the way into a wall. So have your, is that a Christmas carol? It sounded like a Christmas carol ring.
I hear absolutely nothing.
All right, so grab your blocks, and if you're at home and you have a wall from behind you, it will be helpful so that you can bring yourself into putting your back foot on a wall. If you don't want to use a wall for a Warrior 3, you don't have to. But if you're able to find your hands under your shoulders on blocks here highest height and put your right foot back in the wall to where you got to arrange, that foot you're standing on needs to be right underneath your left hip. And the right toes are facing directly down towards the ground. Both knees might need to be bent. You know, if your hamstrings are tight, that's just the way it is. And I'm telling you, it'll still really help to do this pose. If you're able to put your left hand up on your left thigh, do it. Press gently into that foot back there on the wall. It's a lot of engagement, especially if you imagine you're trying to draw the foot up towards the ceiling. And then put your hand back down, put your right foot back to the floor, and we're going to just switch. We're going to go back to the right side again. So right now, just getting accustomed, getting that toes facing down. So look back at your foot. Good. Your hips are level. Feel that foot into the wall there. Press gently into it. See if your right hand can come up to your thigh. Press into that foot. Imagine you're trying to draw it up towards the ceiling a little bit. And zip up your low belly at the same time. Hips are really level here. We're going to switch again. Put that foot down. And right away, put your right foot up again. And there you are. Pressing again, that foot into the wall. Now, as you shift your weight to your right hand, think about bringing your left hand up to your chest, if you can do that. And then see if you can put your left hand on your hip. If you can do that, you might want to roll your left shoulder up and come into a bit of a twist here. Maybe not. One more breath. And then come on back down with that hand. Bring your right foot down. We're going to put the left foot up. This is the last one, I promise. So pressing into that foot back there. Take your time. Feel that sense of drawing upward a little bit with that foot, trying to reach up higher towards the ceiling, but it doesn't really move. Bring your right hand to your chest. And then see if you can bring your right hand up to your hip. And if you want to add that little twist, bring your hand to your low back. Press into that foot on the wall. Lengthen out through the top of your head. Good. And then come on back down. Release. And if you want to come into any kind of squat, you can use the wall. You can walk back to the wall and you can sit, let yourself squat like this at the wall, or you can come all the way down. Those of you who are fine to come down into a squat. You know, if you like squats all the way down, if you've never tried being close to a wall and squatting so you're supported, that can feel pretty good too. I mean, you can even squat with your back against the wall like this, or you can get closer and just have your hips to the wall. But again, it's really up to you, knees and hips. It's huge, so don't overdo. The good thing about being this low down is it's easy to just, keep going all the way down. And we're going to come onto our bellies on our mats. So take your time. Let yourself release. Come on all the way around onto your belly. And let your forehead rest on your hands stacked up, if that's okay for your neck. If not, adjust, do what you need. If you'd rather put your head on the floor, your forehead on the floor, do. And then press into the tops of your feet. Your feet are pointed. Press in and let your knees lift a little bit up off the floor. And then hands soften back down, thighs come down, knees come down, and let's bend our knees. And then let our feet circle around. Do your own little foot dance back there. So you can circle, you can move around, you can let your lower legs go side to side in those windshield wiper blades. Good. And then come on back to long legs here. And let's come onto our forearms into a Sphinx pose with our elbows under our shoulders. Turn your palms down here, spread your fingers, and kind of adjust to where you know you're okay to be. If you need to send your elbows down more towards your waist and be lower, or up more towards the front of your mat and not have that much lift in the front of the body, then do that. And then just feel good here. Let the front body open up. Belly is gently engaging. Good. One more breath. And then bring your hands together. Interlace your fingers. Send your pinky finger out. You've got the flat outside edge of your hands on the mat here. And you can decide whether to bend your knees and lift up into a half forearm plank here. Or put the feet on the floor, lift the knees up into a full forearm plank. Just try again to zip up the belly. Try not to drop into your belly. Reach downward with your sit bones, down towards either your knees or your heels. Enjoy that strength here. One more breath. And then we're going to release down. Stretch your arms up into a wide V, like you're reaching towards the corners of the mat, the front corners of your mat. Let your head lie down there. And now, next inhale, rise your right arm, your left leg, and your head and chest up a little bit. Opposite arm and leg. And then release back down. And we're going to go the other arm and leg. Left arm, right leg, head, chest up a little bit as you inhale. And then come on back down. Go back to the first side, opposite arm and leg, inhaling up. And exhaling down. And then the other side, inhaling up. And exhaling down. Bring your hands again back under your head if you can. Bend your knees. And then pull your heels, flex your feet, and pull your heels in towards your buttocks a little bit. Not, just with your own, you're not using your hands, you're just drawing them in. Good. And then come on back, down with long legs. Come back onto your forearms again. Find your Sphinx pose. And now you can decide, you can go right back to that forearm plank, clasping your hands and lifting up to a half or a full forearm plank. Or some of you may want to bring your knees up and lift up into a dolphin pose, if your shoulders allow you to do that. So dolphin pose is much like doing a downward dog on your forearms, right? Except it does feel different. You can also get your feet in closer to your head so that you get your shoulders more over your elbows. That is totally up to you. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Rest how you need. Good. And then we're going to release back down. We're coming into child's pose from here. So once you get back, let yourself shift. Again, if you need to stay forward in your child's pose, don't force anything in your knees or your hips. Arms can stay soft overhead, or you can bring your arms back alongside your legs. Just be mindful. Let the breath come into the low back. Good. One more breath. And now we're going to come up, so take your time. Ease your way up, and we are going to sit. So if you know sitting up on a blanket or on a blanket and a block, 2 blankets, 3 blankets feels better to you, we're going to sit in a little bit of a wide angle. Doesn't have to be really wide. wide. It really totally depends on how you're built in your hips. So you may have a less of an angle here, or you may have more, right? So you have to find what works for you, where you can sit up nice and tall. Even if you need to use your hands behind you like this, almost imagine that you're just trying to almost lift up off the floor. You feel your heels on the ground, you feel your sitting bones, draw your heels back towards you, and imagine that you're just so lengthened up, whether your hands are back here giving you help or you have your hands on your legs, that it feels really good. Coming forward a tiny little bit, if it's possible. And I know that's not always possible. So bending the knees can help. Putting a rolled blanket underneath your knees or blocks. Bringing yourself forward, either keeping your hands on your legs or on the floor in front of you. And if your built is such that this pose, it's very natural to come forward, you can go all the way forward. Just think about keeping your knees and your toes facing up towards the ceiling. And you'll feel your inner thighs, feel your outer legs, your hips, your back. Good. One more breath. We're going to keep our legs where they are as we come back up. And then we'll put our right hand down on our right leg and just slide your hand down for a little side stretch here. So you can stay up on your shin, your ankle. You can go to your foot. You can keep your left hand down and just kind of roll your shoulder up. Or you can add your arm. You know, if it feels good to add your arm and get a little more side stretch here, do. And just breathe into that side you're stretching. Even if your hand's down, you're getting a lot of stretch through the ribs here. And then we'll come on back up. We're going to go to the other side. So left hand is just going to slide down. Again, right hand on the hip. Roll the right shoulder upward. Stay right there. You don't have to go really low to feel it. And if you feel like adding an arm up and over, that right arm can come up and over. And some of you might even want to reach for your toes with your right hand. So just be easy. Let it feel like a nice openness through that side of the body. And then we're going to slowly come all the way back up. Now bring your hands behind you if you can. Now if you're up high, be careful. But if you can, put your hands on the floor. Draw your chest forward and your shoulders back. And let yourself just open that way through the chest. It doesn't matter whether you look forward or up. Be mindful of how your neck feels. And then we'll come on back up. And we're going to bring our legs on around in front of us. Take your time, kind of shake them out a little bit. You guys stay turned that way. I'm just going to turn sideways though. But you stay the way you are on your mat. And if you're up high now, you might need to come down to be at least on a blanket. We're going to walk our feet back and do a little boat pose. So walking our feet back, leaning back with a nice long back here, right? Now remember, if you're close to a wall, be careful, because if you lift your feet up and you feel like you're going to fall backwards, it really hurts to bang your head into walls. So be mindful. You can hold behind your legs, feel your chest coming forward. You can let go if you want. Let yourself bring the arms either forward, or you can keep holding on and stretch your legs long if you want. So be mindful. Let it feel good. You can hold on to the legs as much as you want to. Good. One more breath here. And then bend your knees and let your feet come to the floor and just bow your head forward a little bit. Let yourself release. And then we'll come up and let our hands come behind us and separate our feet wider on our mats to the outside edges of the mat. And then just let your knees come from one side and up through center and down to the other side. So your inhales will rise your knees up. Your exhales will lower them down. And just be really easy. Go at your own timing. Just let it feel good. off back at top. And we're going to come down to our backs. If you want to roll down, you can have your knees be bent and roll down through your back if you want to work a little bit that way, or not necessarily. Once you get down, bring your knees on in towards your chest. Let your knees come side to side. And then come back to center and cross your right ankle over your left. All right? So your knees are out kind of wide. Now you can either just hug your knees down towards the floor a little bit there, or you might want to reach your hands down and hold your feet and kind of hug your legs in towards you, whichever feels good. Because your knees are kind of wide open, right? It releases the hips and the low back. And then we're just going to switch the cross, so bring the other ankle on top. And then again, you can bring your arms to the outside of the legs and just hug the knees down towards the ground a little bit, or reach down from there with your hands and hold your feet. And then come on back, uncross, bring your feet on down to the floor. And we're going to work on a little bridge pose. If you know you like a block, I forgot to say that, so if your block's far away, you might have to reach over if you want a block or two. And then set your feet here. Really get yourself feet comfortably, a little bit wider than you have them in mountain pose. Still parallel. And start to then press into the upper arms. Whether you like to bend your elbows or keep your arms long, and go ahead and float on up into bridge pose, rolling your shoulders under as much as you can. Feeling that sense of pressing down into your arms. And you can grab your blocks if you'd rather and support yourself. Come into that supported bridge pose any height so that you're able to just relax onto the block so you're fully supported there at your sacrum. Or you can stay in your bridge, move up and down from your bridge pose if you're more comfortable to do that. Remember, in bridge pose, you don't want to feel it in your back. There is this sense when you're in bridge that the top buttock muscles are lengthening down towards your knees, and the top of the hips are really open as well. There's not a sense of compression. It's length both in the front and the back of the body. So sometimes, being on the block and staying supported is better. So just be mindful. Take your time and breathe. And when you get ready to come down, if you're not already, just be really easy as you make your way on down to the floor. Once you get down there, bring your knees on in towards your chest and just go a little side to side with the knees. Let the back release. And then we'll bring the feet on back down to the floor. And let's cross our right ankle above our left knee, that figure 4. So you can keep the left foot on the floor and just use your right hand to encourage that thigh a little bit away from you. Or you can draw the left knee in, lift the left foot off the floor, and clasp behind your thigh, flexing through both feet if they're both up. So be mindful of what feels best for you. Keep the foot on the floor if you need. Flex through whatever feet are off the floor. One more breath. Now, those of you who have the foot up, if you want to extend your left leg up long, you can, just to get a little bit of length there at the back of the leg. And then we'll bend the knee and put the foot back to the floor if it was up, and we're going to uncross and switch and go to the other side. So left ankle above the right knee, that figure 4. Flex the left foot. You can stay there with the foot on the floor using your left hand to encourage that thigh just a little more away from you. Or you can draw the right leg in, clasping behind your right thigh, flexing through both feet. Whichever one you're doing, just give your hips time here. And if you do have both feet up, again, if you want to extend that right leg up long, just to get a little feeling to open up the back of that leg, you can. And then we're going to release to put that right foot back down if it was up. And uncross your legs here now. And let your knees just come a little side to side with your feet on the floor. And then come on back to center. Let's bring our right knee towards the chest. Stretch our left leg long. And bring your left hand across to that right knee. Bring your right arm out beside you on the floor. Draw the knee on across the midline of the body over into a little bit of a twist. You can go as deep as you want. You know, you may want to keep your hip on the floor. Just barely bring the knee over with the right hip staying down. Or you may decide you want to go farther over. That is totally up to you. If you want to let go of the leg too and just feel the weight of the leg coming into that twist rather than using your hand, that's fine. And then we're going to make our way back into center with that knee. And we're going to switch to bring the left knee in. Extend your right leg now, down long on the floor. Flex through both your feet. Bring your right hand over to that left knee. And left arm out beside you on the floor. Drawing that knee across towards the right. And again, you decide how far. You can stay really just a little bit and get a lot going on. Up into the hip, into the buttock. You can draw the knee farther and farther over. Let go if you'd rather. Good. One more breath. And then once you come on back into center, let both knees come on in. If a little happy baby pose sounds good to you, send your feet on up in the air, slide your knees on down, roll around a little bit if it's okay for your back to do that. Take your time. Start to listen to what your body wants to do. That could be anything. You know, you may need to do another movement, another pose. You may need to stretch. You may need another kind of a little twist. But play for a little bit. You know, just instead of telling your body what to do, let it tell you what it wants to do. There's no right or wrong, in other words. Start to turn some lights out, and then I'll be coming around here at the studio. For those of you who feel like a little bit of support would be nice, I have all these bolsters and blankets. I would be happy to bring support for under your knees if that sounds like a good idea. I'll start to move around, but if I miss you, wave at me as I go by. be comfortable, and if you're not, let me bring something to you that will help you be more comfortable. Remember, we have blankets too. If you're chilly, I can bring you a blanket to cover with. I take everything home and wash it, so. So remember, sometimes you lay and you get a little bit, you think you're comfortable and maybe you're not quite so. So just let yourself ease your way, really, into feeling that support of the ground. Feeling that release through your arms and legs. It comes up into your shoulders and your hips. Let go now through your face. So just feeling everything soften all around your eyes and around your mouth. Imagine your forehead just smoothing out. And just receive your breaths. Accept your breaths in and out. Imagine your inhales and your exhales are equally important. When your mind goes to wander off into thinking, just softly refocus back to your breaths. Giving yourself the gift of these few minutes. Have time to benefit from all you just did, just by letting yourself completely and fully relax. yourself to want to move, and when you're ready, starting with your fingers and your toes, your hands and your feet, just start to gradually come up into letting your arms, your legs do what you need. Stretch or bend. Stay on your back a little longer if you like. Roll to either side. If you feel good to be in a fetal position on your side, you can roll to your side anytime. And give your back a little release there and give your body and your brain a little bit longer. When you do feel okay to rise up, let yourself stay relaxed if you can, and allow the body to sit however's comfortable. Or if you need to stretch your legs out, do. If you like to cross your legs or use support under your knees or a blanket underneath you. Let your eyes stay closed if you can, or close them again once you get up. Start to feel now the breath again coming into your belly, maybe even rising into those three-part breaths. Inhaling into the belly, into your ribs, and then all the way up into your chest. And on your next exhale, allow your hands to gently come to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Wednesday, everyone.
Does she come today? Do they come today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow. At like